Oh, thank you. Thank you. Good evening. I'm Wesley J Smith. I am the chairman of the Discovery Institute Center on Human Exceptionalism, and I'm testifying for the center and for myself. I'm in support of HB 2609. I've got written testimony I've given, but I'd like to point out something based on previous testimony. There have been at least 3 cases that I believe involved conscious patients that went through the 10-day process. Andrea Clark, Jimmy Givens, and Chris Dunn. And I think that's worth noting. There was testimony that that would never happen, and apparently it has. I urge today the committee to support HB 2609. Coercion has no place in the practice of medicine. As such, the primary purpose of HB 2609 is to prevent unilateral forced withdrawals over the objections of patients and or families of wanted life-extending treatment based on a doctor's belief about the quality of the patient's life. I emphasize wanted. The term feudal care is a misnomer. In a true feudal care imposition, treatment is withdrawn not because it is not working, but because it is working. That is, the desired care is keeping the patient alive when doctors think the patient is better off dying. In essence, such impositions constitute ad hoc healthcare rationing. Decisions about when to stop fighting and accept natural death are not medical determinations, but deeply intimate personal value judgments. The issue presented in such controversies is, when is a life worth living? Surely that is a decision for the patient and or family based on their own values and or moral or religious beliefs. Thus, feudal care impositions amount to a profound violation of patient autonomy as they allow the doctor or a hospital ethics committee of strangers to decide in essence that the time has come to die. Please consider the horror that the current law inflicts upon your constituents. These are people in crisis. A deathly ill loved one is lying in a hospital bed. The last thing you would want to do in such a circumstance is engage in a desperate search for another hospital. Requiring them to fight for their loved one's life against their own doctor and hospital is simply beyond the pale. More than that, it is the antithesis of social justice. Maneuvering through the medical system is a daunting task for anyone. Asking people who may not have the education, life skills, or ability to carry the burden of fighting doctors in the hospitals is both unfair and unwise. Perhaps even worse, when patients can be forced off wanted life-sustaining treatment by the vote of an ethics committee whose members all know each other, who share a corporate culture, and which deliberates behind closed doors, it breeds distrust in the medical system generally and leads victims of feudal care impositions to conclude, whether rightly or wrongly, that in a time of health care cost cutting, their loved one was crassly deemed too expensive to save. Again, coercion has no place in medicine. HB 2609 promotes comity, which
I'm sorry, Madam Chair. I just can't accept that.
All right.
I can't accept the statement, what's your evidence of too expensive to save?
No, I didn't say it was. I said whether rightly or wrongly.
You just said that.
No, I said whether rightly or wrongly a patient family might conclude that their loved one was being forced off care because of money. I didn't say that was happening. I'm saying people are people.
That that's what was happening.
No, I did not. So may I read what I said?
Yeah.
I said this, quote, the medical system generally and leads victims of feudal care imposition to conclude whether rightly or wrongly, meaning this is what they're thinking in their heads, because I've talked to these people. They feel like they're being forced out not only because of quality of life, but because of the cost of care, because many of these people are on Medicaid, and it costs a lot of money to keep these patients alive. And so what I said was, whether rightly or wrongly, that in a time of healthcare cost cutting, which we of course are in, their loved one was crassly deemed too expensive to save. I'm not saying that's why these decisions are made. I'm saying it breeds distrust. And that would be one of the things that a patient's family might think.
So what I would say to you, crassly deemed is saying that it probably is based on money.
All right, I didn't.
I'm sorry, I speak English.
So do I, sir.
Yeah, and I can hear. And so what you stated in an obfuscated way was that these are decisions based on dollars.
No, I reject that, but if you took that to be my meaning, it's not what I meant.
Okay, good.
Other questions, members?
By the way, this is an abuse of the ethics committee process. An ethics committee in every other state is a mediating body. Texas alone has turned the ethics committee into a quasi-judicial decision-making body. There's no record kept of the deliberations. There's no formal right to appeal. And the idea that patients should then have to go to court, which was earlier stated, is really very difficult to consider. And now when a patient has gone to court, a court in the state has concluded temporarily that there may be a case that this is unconstitutional. And I would suggest there's a real due process problem in this situation because you have a non-judicial body making life and death decisions.
Other questions, members?
And I apologize if I snapped at you, sir.
Oh, that's all right.
I've had people do worse.
Thank you.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Are you a lawyer? Is that correct?
Yes, I am.
And,
I'm not in practice now, but I am.
okay, the Fort Worth case, can you elaborate?
I'm sorry?
The Fort Worth case, the
Oh,
most
the
recent?
Tinsley,
Yes.
Lewis case?
Could
Yes.
you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yes, the Tinsley Lewis case is a young baby with a very serious malady. In fact, she was put under the 10-day rule, and doctors said that she had several weeks to live, perhaps, and that was 18 months ago. And she's still alive. For a period of time, there was a dispute where the family wanted her to have a tracheotomy so that she could be moved, and the hospital refused to give her a tracheotomy. So it was almost like damned if you do and damned if you don't. We're going to take away life support, and we're not going to give the kind of intervention necessary so that she can be moved. That went to court, and there is currently an injunction against taking her off care based on a trial court's and the Court of Appeals belief, that the plaintiff is likely to prevail in court. So there is an injunction against removing her from life support at this time. And it's my understanding from testifying last week, I testified in the Senate, that she has been given the tracheotomy.